Views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome to one more show of the Table Topics.
Yeah.
John.
Yeah, welcome. another episode, another location.
Yes.
We're at the, I don't know, does this place have a name yet?
I think it's the picnic ground
Okay.
right at Davis Beach. This was an idea and a work that Linda Pereira has been working for quite some time, and I have to tell you that I was surprised when I walked in.
I was. I mean, when I think of Days Beach, I think of the boat ramp when you go
Exactly.
down there.
Exactly.
And I went down and I'm like looking around. There's no picnic area thing here.
Exactly.
So I ended up calling you, Carlos, and you told me. So this is like on Jefferson, but going toward the Atlantis Charter School.
Exactly.
So,
it's right next door to the Atlantis Charter School.
Yeah.
So as soon as you pass the school, it's right on the same side.
Yeah.
On the side, you will see a beautiful open space, and they have 17 tables, picnic tables here.
Yep.
And we just taped the Portuguese show with Linda, and I congratulate her because, we hear about, but not actually until we get here. And I want to invite people to come by and just check it out, because I
awesome.
think, if you live on an apartment and you want to plan a Saturday, a Sunday out with your family, have a nice picnic, this in here is a perfect location for that.
Yeah.
You have the water in the background that nobody's going to stop you from swimming if you know how to swim.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If you don't know how to swim, I guess you're going to be on your own.
Yeah. Well, you probably need to have
You need
somebody that can swim to check it out for you first before you jump in.
But
I want to just say one thing, Carlos, because this kind of leads to our last show, what we were talking about. We were talking about the councilors, the mayor, and I don't know if you remember, I had said something to the effect that, when people are running for city council, at the end of their term, I want to know what they've accomplished. Mm-hmm. So I want to give a personal shout out, kudos to Councilor Pereira, because this is an accomplishment that's going to be here for a while. It's going to help everybody, or provide recreation, entertainment for everybody in the city.
But she just admitted that she has this idea for many years.
Yeah.
But she never had a mayor to back her up.
And I realize that.
That's the key, is if you don't have the support from the 6th floor, you as a city council, you're not going to accomplish nothing.
Yeah, and I realized this was started, I believe, prior, maybe during the Jaisel administration, or maybe prior to that she was trying to get worked through, because there were liens on different things, or not liens, but easements from different corporations like National Grid and stuff. So it doesn't move fast. We all know, they say government doesn't move fast, but sometimes trying to get these easements fixed from these utilities.
So I believe they had to switch lands, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Because this used to be the charter school land, and city owned lands on the charter school side.
Oh, okay.
So they kind of switched lands. So he had the land next to the school, and the city got the land next to the city side land too. So which worked perfect. I can see the potential here.
Absolutely,
I can see organizations putting events here. I can see people just taking the day out of the second floor apartment or third floor apartment and come enjoy here, a day here. Don't have to go to New Bedford, don't have to go to Bristol, don't have to go out of the city, right? I mean, this neighborhood in here pretty much can walk here, because for my house, I can walk here.
I was noticing that, when you come over the overpass, it's right here.
As soon as
it's in Maplewood.
Exactly.
But it brings open an opportunity that it's kind of tough here in Fall River. I know everybody keeps on talking about the beaches. I get it. Now there's a beach that you can use here. But the issue is, I think sometimes it's unfair to compare us with New Bedford, because New Bedford is a waterfront city. We're on a river. They're on Buzzards Bay. So it was a lot easier to tackle that.
We see water, but that's not actually...
And it's not accessible. And I remember when I was a kid, I lived in New Bedford. I remember going to both East Beach and West Beach. You know, you didn't go to Horseneck because you had it right there. So, you know, I think that we're at that slight disadvantage. And we were at a meeting last night where they had spoke of that. You know, we have to go to Newport or you have to go to New Bedford to go to the beaches. And it's because they're right on the water. So They do have that. They're on not the Taunton River, which they just cleaned up due to the whole
We have water that you can get wet.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But we don't have water that you actually can jump.
And you could, no, you're right. I mean, you have, what is it, the beach area down in the south end. And I'm trying to remember the name of that where Pat Casey is, that area, Sandy Beach. Sandy Beach. It should have a new name because it's Rocky Beach, really.
Exactly.
You know, but people do swim in there. I've seen, and they've had events there in the past where people.
Which I see potential there too.
Yep.
You know, I think we just need somebody with the vision to turn that area around.
Yeah.
Because they used even to have rides there, carnival rides there.
Absolutely.
You know, so I mean, the area's still there. It's just kind of abandoned.
Yeah.
You know, I think we need somebody to kind of, you know, take a look and see the potential and probably put a plan together to get something there.
Yeah.
But
and there's actually on the Taunton River, there's also the Overlook, which I think is overlooked a lot of times. It's a really pretty area there. I think it just would be the money to build something to get down that hill over there. So, but yeah, I am very, very impressed. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yes.
And I just think this is a day that I feel proud of Fall River.
Yes.
You know, that,
yes, definitely.
You know, it wasn't, Councilor Pereira did put the idea and she's worked her butt off for this, but I see former City Councilor Dan Rigo here moving this mulch around along with the Bristol County Sheriff's Office. The folks are down here.
And then she said that she had been having a lot of volunteers here. This is pretty much everything was done by volunteers. So National Grid do an excellent job when we ask them for cleanups. I can prove that because they've been cleaning up for us. The Britton Park, matter of fact, we clean up the waterfront there. They did an excellent job there and putting mulch down just the waterfront there. They turned that area around. And here is another example that what people can do when they come together and they volunteer. And one thing that our city is going through is this change of people moving in. You know, we are so used to see the houses being taken care of, grass is being cut, people outside with the broom cleaning the sidewalks. This is the Fall River that we know, people that were born and proud to be Fall River residents. So we pretty much getting it's a shot on the arm from people are coming in that not used to this kind of behavior, this kind of, that's our city and we clean too. We don't wait for the city employees to come and clean our sidewalks, we clean.
Yeah, and it may be, you're right, because I know we've had a lot of folks from like Newport that moved up here. And when you live in a town like Newport, where you get a lot,
the city to do everything.
Because they're getting all that income, they can do it because they make a lot of money off the tourist industry. But I think people will, kind of understand that after a while. I mean, we have a tightrope here. Fall River has been so used to having to pay like $300 or $400 for rent. And we're seeing that's changing everywhere. I mean, housing has gone up astronomically everywhere. And we're starting to see that here. We're starting to see where multifamilies are going for $500,000. When somebody buys a house like that, just the taxes, insurance, and water is going to run you about $700 a month. Then you're going to have to add on the mortgage, which is another $200. So what are you up to? You're almost up to $3,000. So you can't get away with charging any less than $1,000 a month. You may luck out and have somebody that's owned the house for years, and you know what I mean, you can get a reasonable rent, but that's not always to say the case either. You know?
Well,
So-
one of the things that I took from that meeting that the mayor did about spending $1.5 million to help these people is I think the message that I took from there is, if you're in that situation, don't leave, don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
I think that's the wrong message, because guess what? If the person is deep already behind this rent, number one, you're just going to be able to help them with 6 months. Okay, so the person is going to stay behind on rent. Okay, number two is the owner of the building could reject your offer and still evict the person. So I think it's the wrong approach, because if I'm behind a year in rent and I hear that from the mayor's mouth or from the mayor's office saying, you know, don't go nowhere, you don't move from there, you know, I think I'm going to get the wrong message. I'm going to get that they're going to help me. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to get out, and they're going to help me. And that's the wrong message. No, eventually you're going to have to move.
Well, I mean, but you know what, Carlos, I can't blame that at the city level, because that's coming from the federal level. Our president said, if you're afraid, don't go back to work till September. You know, so that's starting from the top. So we've already kind of put that out there. I look at it this way. For the landlord, you know, if he just throws somebody out, he's never going to get that money. Might as well just say that year of rent is totally gone. Whereas, you know what, if they have this program, maybe it'll help that landlord get back on their feet, and they start this whole new thing with the tenant, and the tenant now pays. I mean, I have different opinions of all that.
But
this year, starting in July, anybody that has a child is getting $250 to $300 a month.
Exactly, and
So-
I think we're going on the second week already of the program, which makes no sense.
But this is at the federal level again, trying to help people. So we got to get people back into that mode. You know.
But if you own that apartment, and I'm a year behind on my rent. You own the apartment. I'm a year behind on my rent. The city or this program is going to help me in 6 months. How are we going to negotiate the rest? You're going to lose the 6 months and keep me there?
Well, I mean, if this is me, my thinking as a landlord, you know, if I had if I was a landlord in that situation, and the tenant, you know what I mean, other than not paying the rent, they were fine.
Year, out of 12 months, I only have 6 months.
I would still take that, because if you get rid of them, you evict them, I can tell you, you're not going to get the money. Because if they weren't paying you the rent, they don't have the money. So I think it's, you know, a win-win situation for both. They have to get on track. But I just look at it this way. If someone's been not paying rent for a year, you know, a lot of these people aren't corporations. We have mom and pop, you know, situations here where they lose that money, they're in trouble, you know? So to me, it's a win-win for both. That's not to say that takes away their responsibility to the tenant to pay this. They should have been paying the whole time, because most of these benefits have been out here. You could collect unemployment at a higher rate.
And if you think that I'm not paying you for a year, and now somebody's going to pay 6 months of my rent, you think I'm going to stop paying again?
Well, hopefully they do. If not, then you evict them. But you know, at this point, at least the landlord's getting 6 months.
Because if I was thinking that way, I would never been stopped paying you. Because I live there.
But
I got my unemployment check. I got my stimulus check on top. I got an extra $300, $600 a week, okay? And I still didn't pay you.
I don't know. I'm not in that situation. I didn't get all these stimulus checks. So, I mean, but I have to look at it this way, Carlos. First of all, number one,
a single person got $3,500.
You're starting to sound like
stimulus check.
Yeah, I know. But I mean,
a single person got $3,500
hold on a minute here. You always come after me. You're starting to sound like a conservative. That you're not but the Biden people don't agree with this.
You forgot about it?
But the Biden people don't do this, and I know you probably, I know you probably voted for Biden, and you're starting to sound the other way. Do you have any remorse? Do you have any voters' remorse? Let me just go over a couple things.
I had no choice.
Gas is over. Gas is over.
It's
over $1 a gallon more. Food has increased 15%. Inflation has increased. everywhere you go in this city, at least, not everywhere in the country, but everywhere you go into a store, sorry, shortage of this, we don't have this, or we have to close early because we have a shortage of workers. So any buyer's remorse yet?
So, I mean, that's the help. You
All
think
right.
I agreed with the help? No, I don't agree
Okay.
with the help.
All right. So,
I agreed to help those that need help.
All right. Well, so next time when you start coming at me this way, I'm going to say, hey, slow down here. You're
Slow
a little
down,
bit more
you voted for
no,
Biden.
You're a little bit more conservative here. You know what I mean? You see it. Let's face it, people only react when it affects them personally, right? And I think that's what you're going to start seeing more and more down the line. You know what I mean? But anyway, the whole rent thing, whatever. I think try to give the landlords the money. The tenants don't do it, then they leave. At least the landlords are getting that money, and it's giving the tenants opportunity to figure out what the heck they're doing. If not, they're going to be out then.
I just hope that the people still going to be paying the rents going forward.
I hope so, but you
With
know
this
what?
help.
Luckily, this is not a communist or a socialist country, at least yet, that you can have people move out. If this was like communist or socialist, the government would be running all this housing. And, we see.
Next meeting.
Yes.
Last night.
Yes.
We had an adventure
Absolutely.
meeting
Absolutely.
at Our Lady of Lights.
Yes.
How are we going to spend $35 million
I had said
this year?
I had said this to you. I mean, hopefully nobody gets offended, but I was disappointed that there were more nonprofit folks there than average citizens. Because you probably know as well as I do, I haven't attended in a while, but we have the Community Development Agency, and they query people in the public, nonprofits, as to where they want to spend their money. And a lot of the organizations that got up yesterday, although they're very worthy organizations, they're there getting funding from the CDA. So personally, I would like to see that money being spent on something like this, to create a beach somewhere, create a recreation area for people. Especially, I think this is so awesome because as time goes along, inflation's not getting, I know we're hearing inflation is transitory. All through history, I've never seen that inflation is transitory. Inflation goes up and then it collapses. So there's going to be more need for things like this when people don't have the money. They're going to be struggling to pay their rent and all these other things and their mortgages.
Well,
so
I do agree with you. I was kind of surprised to see all those nonprofits, organizations, they are just pretty much saying, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me.
Yeah.
You run a nonprofit, I run a nonprofit. Our idea there is to give the administration an idea how we could spend this money so the city could benefit. Not to say, I run this organization and guess what, because of COVID, we lost employees. I mean, because of COVID, I mean, you have to be creative. You have to create, how do you going to support your organization?
And some of the things that were mentioned yesterday, I think that they fall in the responsibility of the federal government, because some of the things that were requested were because of policies we have right now. So they need to take responsibility. They should be reaching out to get federal funding.
Of those organizations got money from COVID reliefs. They are running from funds that they got from COVID. So what are you thinking going back for more money?
Well, everybody wants more money for their
Instead
organization.
of going for more money, go back to the federal like you went last year.
I agree, because some of those things are kind of inflicted by the feds. You know what I mean? That these programs that they were talking about, they should be getting federal funding.
And I give an idea to somebody from the CPA board. I told them, the money the millions of dollars that we put into the CPA should go to a different organization. So all these nonprofit organizations can go there and claim that they need funds for. And that money, at least we know that we're putting money to help nonprofit organizations that are working on our community. I would be happier to put my tax money there than I'm putting for CPA. And the answer was, oh, Carlos, it's not like that. We don't give money to private properties no more. We don't give money for investors. It's a year too late. for 4 years.
Yeah.
Going in 5 years, that's what you guys
Well-
do. So now that the problem is coming into the table so the taxpayers can review, now you don't give money to these people no more?
Yeah, I mean, it was a new program. I think well, what's the old saying? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. It started out very well, but unfortunately it became like a piggy bank for some administrations, you know. I'd like to see, what I thought that was going to be, and the way that was kind of spoke to in the public is that was going to be to create, presented new playgrounds, new recreational things here, buying land and, you know, keeping it, you know, that it's not going to be developed. Things like that. That's how it was presented. It wasn't, they're all worthy organizations, but I didn't think that we were going to be fixing windows in old buildings that were privately owned.
Exactly.
I could see, you know, the city buying something like the Lizzie Borden house and then running that. You know what I mean? It's owned by the city, it's owned by all of us, but to give money to other groups that can make money off that if they sell the property,
Well,
I don't think that was the intent.
A couple of those grants went for properties that is up for sale.
Yeah, and that's...
Or got sold.
Yeah.
So that means that people are parking money from my tax that I should not give them that money.
Yeah, no,
and
I
then
agree.
you have on top of that you had a couple of cases that the people got the money and never did the job.
Yeah.
And when they pull up the feet to the fire, we didn't did the job, I'm going to give the money back. You know, no, I mean that's how broke the system was.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't have the people, the volunteers were the CPA, they were volunteers roughly, you know, actually, I should say. So, you know what I mean, it ran amok. And then we had a mayor, you know what I mean, they were concentrating on other things. So I would like to see the CPA stay. However, it needs to be dramatically reformed.
Yes.
Or changed, because if it isn't, then just get rid of it. Because I agree with you. I don't want it to be other people's piggy banks to, you know, fix their buildings and all these other things.
The problem is the way it's been is I'm going to buy a building because I know it's an historical building and I'm going to get free money from the city to fix it.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way, that's what people are thinking out there.
And it shouldn't have been done that way. And like I said, hopefully, you know, some of this is too, you got funding. We tried to get funding in our organization. What I found is it's like, here's the idea. I don't have the resources. Our nonprofit is just a bunch of citizens. We don't have the resources to go out there and get estimates of this. And when you do go out there and do it, these people are like, well, who are you? You know what I mean? So like when we got our water feature there, which is great because I go by there and there were little kids playing, awesome. But it was kind of like I went and got an estimate from someone, and then the city never even used the person that spent all that time getting me the information to them. So that was very frustrating. The city needs to be involved with that. If somebody says, let's fix this, they know how to get all the permits and all that stuff. They're the ones that should be doing that. That's what this money should be used for something to that effect. You know, maybe putting a slide in here or something. That's what the money should be used for.
So and bringing back to to last night's meeting, the idea of that meeting was for people to go there and give ideas.
Citizens input.
Give ideas how we could spend the money to benefit this community. Kudos to you. You run a nonprofit. You're part of a nonprofit organization that I'm pretty sure you could use a lot of funds for ideas that you have for your neighborhood. But you went there and you advocate for the city. You know, you advocate for trees, you advocate for something that's not going to benefit your organization only. It's going to benefit the city. And if I had to go there, that's what I was going to come into. I was not going to ask for new streets and new sidewalks on my neighborhood. You know, I was going to put out there something that the entire city, I will have no problem to go there and say, you know something, let's take $1 million and spend it on the picnic ground because it's a lot that needs to be, and everybody can use that, that ground. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what my feeling was, a heartburn, is that, you know, these groups came up and they need this for this, this for this. That's fantastic. However,
I was even surprised of a group there from immigration. You know, trying to get money to run immigration programs. I think the country has immigration programs, right?
Okay. Oh man, I don't know. Is the real? Is this Carlos I'm talking to, or is this someone else? Where's Carlos?
Where's Carlos?
I think I'm in a Scooby-Doo thing here. I got to tear the mask off because I don't really think this is Carlos here with us today.
No, that's. But
I
but
hear
that's
you.
True,
Well,
you know?
no, I didn't want. I mean, I want to see, like, you know, and you've brought this up. I think we were talking about it. Kayaks, paddle boats at the Quikasham Rail Trail. They could do that here as well. I want to see something that's going to bring people in here, but more importantly, things for kids to do here, families to do here. You know, as far as, like, you know, doing something for this, that, or the other thing, that's only one specialized group you're helping.
Exactly.
And they do get funding right now.
They have place to go.
This
It's
stuff,
funds available for them.
yeah, and but this stuff never gets done because we never have the money. Oh, that's great. Yeah, put a playground, put a, you know, thing in here, and that's it. It never happens, you know?
Well, one of the ideas there that we had spoke before, and I totally agreed, came from the mouth of Council Lee, was the trolleys. I really think that it's one time spent money in a good way, because we could do a lot with city trolleys, and we can still make money out of the trolleys for years to come. Okay. Yeah. Because we can have rented for events, we can rent it for weddings, we can rent it for companies, for Christmas parties. It's so much we could do. In top, we could still advertise, because we see trolleys on other cities.
You know what? Nobody's ever done this, but I would really like to see, and maybe someday when I retire, if somebody hasn't already done it, is, you know, use the trolleys, but have a Lizzie boarding tour. You know what I mean? You can bring them to the cemetery. You know, they can look at Lizzie boarding. You can drive down North Main Street. They did this once or twice. It was awesome. And then it never happened. It was due to a grant. I think it's going to need to be a private company, or, you know, somebody with this idea. Do research and do that. I think it's needed.
Goods was, the program was run by Flanagan, what's her name? Maureen Flanagan.
Yeah, I think Carrera was involved a little in that too.
Yes, the driver was excellent in history, Fall River history. It's my friend Patrick Harrison, which he knows a lot of history of Fall River. The tour was given by students from Durfee. Okay, so I mean, it was a win-win program. On top of that, I used the trolleys to bring the kids to Bioreserve. I used the trolleys to tour the Portuguese history on the Flint. I used the trolleys. I use the trolleys, okay, to give back to the community, to give back to the kids, that the parents pay tax on the city. Okay. So it's a lot we can do if we have a good running trolley. Okay?
No, I think that's a great idea.
And so that's what I talk. A good idea that I took from that meeting last night. Actually, that the entire city was going to benefit. Okay. Besides your project with the trees, because I think that should be a rule. Given by the city. Just like they say you need a driveway for 2 cars, they should have a rule. You need a tree on the front of your house.
And no, I agree. And there's so much pushback right now. That's something with the zoning that, you know, when we go through the whole zoning thing, you're coming here asking for permission. So we have to have some accountability. You have to, like, do some of the things we want. Number one, now it's like every house 2 parking spots, right? I think we need 4 now. Because, you know what, by the time you're living there 10 or 15 years, you have kids, they're going to be driving. Now you're going to have 4 cars. And we complain about the streets being so tight. What are we going to do to solve that? This is a beginning, and eventually in 20 years, you won't have it. Like in Rhode Island, you probably know, you can't park on the street in Providence at night in these neighborhoods. You have to have off-street parking. Why can't we do that here? Providence is a lot bigger, and then that way they can plow this stuff out. It's over. Nobody's hitting cars. Nobody's suing us because they hit cars, and it's over.
Well, and we're done for another show. I think we need to come here for another show, not back to back, but I think we need to see how they're doing in probably a month.
Progress, right?
Progress in a month, and it's a beautiful place to be.
We got to get Steve's permission first, though, too. I mean, this guy's like on the road here, so we. And actually, though, it's a hot day today, but it's really beautiful here.
And it's been working. outside good because we still cannot use the studio.
Yeah.
So until next week, we'll be back for one more
show of table topics.